Welcome to the Fantasy Fangirls podcast, where two sisters dive deep into beloved fantasy lore, character themes, theories, and more.
I'm Lexi, older sister and fantasy lore nerd.
And I'm Nicole, younger sister and romantic at heart.
And today's episode is our final predictions, aka part 2 of everything you need to know before reading Burn of the Everflame, the fourth and final book of the Kindred's Curse Saga by Nicole.
Whereas yesterday's episode covered where our story left off, the magic system, the world building, the politics. This episode is where we are analyzing prophecies, sharing our final predictions, lingering questions, placing our bets on what will happen in Burn of the Everflame.
With that said, please listen closely to our spoiler warning, because we are talking spoilers for the first 3 books in the Kindred's Curse Saga, including all of Spark, Glow, and Heat of the Everflame. Full disclosure, friends, Nicole and I are fortunate to receive an arc of Burn of the Everflame, but we are not reading anything beyond the first 3 Luther chapters Penn publicly shared last year until after this recording. So again, this episode does not contain any spoilers for Burn of the Everflame as we speculate what happens in the final book of the series.
But it will contain spoilers for the very end of Heat of the Everflame. Never in my life have I thought about a flippin' apple this much. So if you have not finished Heat of the Everflame, and of course Glow and Spark of the Everflame, then please go finish the series. We will be here when you're done.
Next, we have Fantasy Fangirls, are adults who say adult things about adult books. In other words, friends, this podcast is rated R.
A predictions episode means a sex bet, and this time it's with Luther. So please be mindful of those little listening ears.
Additionally, we would love to see what upcoming live events, like the midnight release party for Burn of the Everflame on September 7th, where we are joining Nicole in New York for the celebration.
We also have midnight release parties for ACOTAR 6 and 7 in partnership with Tattered Cover Bookstore and Book and Gather in Denver, Colorado.
As well as our live show tour, starting in Chicago on September 9th, Charlotte, North Carolina on September 24th, and New York City on September 27th.
Links to all of these events and more are in the show notes and on our website. Check it out for all the details.
Last thing before we jump into this Burn predictions episode, if you love Fantasy Fangirls and want more events, more content, more community, and so much more, please check out Fantasy Fan Club.
We have 6 membership tiers that you can join, which ranges from access to our Boppin' Discord, live Q&As, book clubs, often featuring the authors themselves, early access to ad-free episode, welcome gift, and so much more.
Learn more and join the party at fantasyfangirls.com/fanclub. The link is also in the show notes. And really and truly, thank you for supporting us as we've turned this podcast into a media network, into a dream come true. It is all because of you.
And now it is time to bet who will live and who will burn.
So yesterday we covered Amarian history, geography, magic systems, politics, the state of the world, characters. Now it's time to theorize. You don't have to have listened to yesterday's episode to, listen to today's. I do think that it might be a little bit of helpful information, but that's to each your own.
We go into the nitty gritty in yesterday's episode, and Lexi and I were still holding back. Today, we're not. It is time to bring up one of our favorite aspects of the Kindred Curse Saga, the prophecies. And you bet your sweet Bippy we're going through every single one of them. Let's start with our very first one. All the way back in Spark Chapter 1, we get the first prophecy from your cell. Quote, "When forgotten blood on Heartstone falls, then shall the chains be broke. Life for life old debt requires, or eternal be his yoke." So let's go through this. When forgotten blood on Heartstone falls, then shall the chains be broke. This is entirely referring to Diem's blood, the forgotten blood, falling on the Heartstone and breaking Ophiuchai's chains. All of this happens at the end of Glow of the Everflame, with Ophiuchai breaking out of the prison on Kareel when Diem bleeds on the Heartstone and, fails coronation class, I guess. Now, this second part, though, life for life, old debt requires, or eternal be his yoke. We don't actually know what this is referring to yet, but it does have us worried about Diem making it out of this series alive with that life for life wording. Even in the prologue of Spark, there is mention of how if things had changed with the turn of events, so many lives would have been saved rather than ended and buried in Amarian soil. We've speculated a lot during our deep dive coverage, which, pause, if you haven't listened to all of our deep dive episodes, boy, oh boy, do I have stuff for you this month. We have talked so much about this life for a life and how a lot of things are hinting to actually Diem being one of the lives and Ophiuchi being the other. I could also see Arlie being, I'll call it Diem's place, especially if it needs to be a person of the Everflame's side. We assume strongly, so much so that it's basically canon in our heads, that Arlie is a descendant of the red-haired man who is always depicted with the Everflame, given his and hers red hair. Now, if this life for a life is Diem, I don't think Diem will die, or at least stay dead. She'll be alive by the end. I'm done. We're also wondering if this forgotten blood has a double meaning. Diem in Heat asks Yrcel if the forgotten blood on the Heartstone means her father is the forgotten. And Yrcel says, quote, "Words and prophecies can have many meanings, some quite obvious, some less so," which, what a response to that question. So this has us wondering if the Forgotten is actually referring to this man with this red hair under the Everflame tree, in addition to Ophiuchi. We know that almost all aspects of mortal religion, with the exception of the Everflame, have been lost. So what if he, this red-haired man, is the Forgotten, and then Diem is the daughter of the Forgottens, both Forgottens on both sides, mortal and Everflame, descended and Omnos.
That's exactly what I think. Yep. We received a lot of cryptic messages from Yrcel, the Queen of Umbros, during our brief time with her, so let's go through those too, starting with, quote, "Take the Rosebane, use my key, heed my warnings, especially about my heir, and don't forget what you pledged to sacrifice to see your plans through." If you're wondering what Rosebane is, it's a plant that when ingested in small doses causes a very teeny tiny bit of temporary insanity, but in a larger dose, it's a death sentence. It used to be called God's Horn because those who survived it claimed they could talk directly to the gods. This right here is going to be very important for Diem. She has to obviously take this Rosebane and speak to the gods. We've theorized that it could be the Kindred and / or the old gods that she will speak to. It's never specifies which gods. I definitely think that it will at least include the Kindred, partly because we know there are these missing pieces to the puzzle and there are gaps or conflicting stories in the Kindred's history. And I think that the Kindred are going to have to be the ones to directly give Diem some vital information. Honestly, though, same with if she talks to the red-haired man from the Everflame. But with the series being called The Kindred's Curse, I am leaning more and more to us learning more about this literal Kindred's Curse directly from the Kindred themselves.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. We joked a lot in our coverage about the Kindred being basically in a conference room somewhere, zooming in on the phone call, and they're all at their board meeting table. This is the ultimate board meeting is what's going to happen. Diem's going to take the Rosebane. She's going to be zoomed in on the call, and all of the Kindred are going to be sitting around the table being like, Diem, let's talk. And, everyone's heart rates are going to accelerate. Now, I do think that Diem is going to take the Rosebane in the first half of Burn. What do you think? First or second half?
I definitely agree with the first half. Yeah. If I'm right with this being a big info dump for Diem,
100%.
That would project the plot and her goals forward. I feel like how we left off with Heat, we learned so much great information, and for this story to continue moving along in the way that we foresee it happening, Diem has to learn a little bit more information to be able to take that necessary action. I think that this is going to play a significant part of that. Keeping in mind, though, that Diem is trapped on the island right now. I was talking to you actually offline about this earlier. We know that flame root grows only on Kareel, but we don't know anything about if Rosebane grows there or where one might find Rosebane for Diem to access it. The only time she ever mentioned Rosebane was way back in the first few chapters of Spark, way before all
she was threatening to poison Lily. Is what
exactly.
Was happening. Just to give you a frame of reference.
So it's like, so that makes me think that it's not like, Flame Root where it's nearly as coveted. So I don't think that it'll be difficult for Diem to access it. Nicole, in our final Heat deep dive episode, you mentioned that you think it might be on Yrcel's person. She is dead on the island right now.
That's right. I did say
told her
that.
To take the Rosebane. I could see her dead body having the rosebane on her, and Diem has to take it, and I could see her taking it there and on the island. She might also have to go to Umbrose's library because, take the rosebane, use my key, which we'll talk about that in a second, how that applies to the library. I'm even thinking about Arboros, the realm known for plants. That's where Luther and the good guardians wind up. So she could go there after however the fuck she escapes the island. But Nicole, both of us agree that she will take the rosebane earlier on in the book. Do you think that she will take it after the island or when she's on the island?
I think I'm going to stick with past me's presumption that I totally forgot about. I think she's going to take it on the island.
I do too. I was listening to it literally this morning as I was preparing for our episode, and I was like, oh, that's such a good idea.
Thank you very much, past me. I think that we can strongly assume Diem's not dead. We're going to get some chapters from her POV on the island. That is just like canon in my head. She's got to do something on the island. And in order to move this gargantuan book forward, we're going to need to get information. And I definitely don't think we're getting it from Ignos. And
right? If he's on the island or not, we don't know that either right now. So, okay, what if Diem does take it on the island, and then somehow that helps her really feel that fire of, oh my God, I have to get off this island. I think she already is feeling that way, but some kind of crucial information that she receives makes her go, okay, holy shit, I really have to get off the island.
I have an idea. What if she is in the Kindred temple on the island, takes the rosebane because she finds it on Yourself's person, and then next to each obelisk is a Kindred, but Omnos isn't there because, psych, he's Ophiuchi and in a different part of Amarian, and he can't be there. And it's all of the Kindred in front of their obelisks having a conversation with her. I am covered in chills right now. I want this to happen so bad.
That makes so much sense.
It does. It makes sense in the story.
Yes. Especially with it having been Yourself who told her to take the rosebane. Okay.
Yes, yep.
I was looking for a bet, but we're two in agreement with that. All right, so
don't worry, there's plenty we're not in agreement on.
Yourself also tells Diem to use her key, which refers to accessing Yourself's personal library in Umbros, specifically a section that contains some of the rarest books in Amarian, including journals from the Kindred. This is when Diem found the Montios diary that... oh my gosh, we're going to be talking a lot about that here shortly. But this library section is one that even the Centenaries don't have access to. It is only for a crown. Other books in Yourself's library include mortal histories from before the Kindred's arrival, like systems of government, city names that are now forbidden to speak or write that have been lost to history, and ancient religions. Yourself tells Diem before she leaves, quote, don't forget why they banned these books for mortals in the first place, because an education is the most powerful weapon of them all. Woo! First of all, fuck yes. Yes. Second of all, Diem has to go back to this library and discover some of this other very important information, right? Before that final Heat episode, we were thinking, oh, like the rosebane has to be in the library, but I don't necessarily think that's the case because when I think about her going back to the library, that is not one of the first places I imagine her wanting to go to. Between Arbros, or maybe she wants to go see what happened with the attack or something.
She also doesn't think that she'll ever need that key again until Yourself says this at the end of Heat. Because
the key is in Lumnos, isn't it?
The key is in Lumnos, so it's in the back of her closet in Lumnos. But I remember I remember so vividly this moment, because I was convinced she's going to fucking forget where the key is. But she has Sophos magic now.
Yes.
So she actually can remember pretty easily where it is. So I think that they will have to go to Lumnos, get the key, then go to the library, which is a lot of traveling. And I'm curious how much of this book is going to be going from one place to another, because they got a lot of places they need to go. They need to go to Sophos to get the fucking sword. So I think it'll be pretty quickly where it's like a quick stop in Lumnos and then going over to the library. I think we're going to get a huge download in the library. I don't think it's with the Rosebane, though. It makes too much sense for it to be on Kirill.
I agree.
I'm like, I'm willing to die on this hill.
Well, and because I was even, as we were prepping for this episode, when I was thinking about like where that Rosebane might be and just thinking about that storytelling, I even went way down a rabbit hole trying to figure out if we had any kind of description of what Rosebane looks like. I was looking at the plants. I was on hyper plant watch for whenever DM was on Kirill. Nothing.
We only get
because we just don't have no idea anything beyond Rosebane. Yeah. When I think about Yourselves Umbros library, I think about what is in the library, specifically around the mortals, how it can help serve as a roadmap for the future of Amarian, for the mortals to reclaim their previous identity. Yselle goes on to say, heed my warnings, especially about my heir. First off, what is this warning about her heir, you ask, who would seem to be Diem herself since she inherits the Umbros crown? Quote, my successor will be your most difficult adversary. They will stand in the way of what you need to do. They will drive a wedge between you and those you love. They will cost you a terrible price, and there's a strong chance they'll put you in a premature grave. I fear telling you now will only make it worse. Oh, okay, that's certainly a thing to say to somebody. Well, if we know Diem, if at all, her character, it's that she absolutely can be her own worst enemy. And this could be Yselle's way. I actually absolutely think it is Yselle's way of saying that Diem is going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. And again, she's going to be her own worst enemy in Burn.
So, friendly reminder that in the Montios journal, it says that the Kindred, whenever they fucked up the magic with binding their lives with their mortal lovers' lives and all that stuff. If you're confused by what I'm saying, listen to yesterday's episode. It said that they all paid the ultimate price. Yes. Here we've got the terrible price. The parallel language here is, again, highlighting, giving Diem, you have to sacrifice yourself moment. And I
share the gift, pay the cost. There's so much of that.
Yes. Grave. I mean, that's pretty on the nose right there.
Lastly, about this cryptic message from Yselle, we're kind of just weaving all Yselle stuff in here right now. She says, don't forget what you pledged to sacrifice to see your plans through. This is in reference to when Yselle asked Diem how much she will sacrifice. And bear with me, I'm going to read this whole section because we need to remember this. How far are you willing to go for them? How much will you sacrifice? Can you kill? Can you watch the people you love die? Can you watch them all die? Can you keep going when everyone you care about is lying in a grave? Can you be the one who puts them there? How far will you go? This world of peace and unity you think you can build, how much are you willing to give to see that come to life? And Diem replies, everything, confirming to Yselle she is willing to set all of her soul ablaze to see this future come to be.
He's burned.
I know, right? Bye. I guarantee this will be tested again and again in Burn, and it will truly test Diem's resolve about that answer she said, which was everything. Because we know Diem well enough to really question whether she would actually be willing to watch all of her loved ones die. I think there are going to be some very difficult deaths, and she might have to let them happen, and it will shred her soul apart. I think that she will have to face the fact that she has to kill, yes, even the bad guys, and that will tear her soul apart and call everything she's ever valued into question. Because like Yselle points out, sacrificing herself, dying, that's the easy part. It's everyone else that is really the question of whether Diem can follow through. And I don't have a lot of faith that she will be able to follow through with that. I mean, for the story part,
really
she kind of has to, but
I think that it's going to be one of those things where her, I'll call it first thought is no, absolutely not. I will do whatever it takes to make sure I am the one who is set ablaze. But let's use a popular theory of ours, which is Arlie actually stepping in for Diem's sacrifice. Diem will have to watch her mother willingly give up her life in order to let Diem live on, and she'll have to live with that. This is that prophecy right there. Or Yselle's words, but I honestly think Yselle's words and prophecy are pretty synonymous. So I think that
because she talks to Father Umbros a lot. We've gathered that Father Umbros really likes her.
Oh, yeah, they're butts. Oh, yeah. Not butts enough, though, for Father Umbros to tell her how to kill a fucking Kindred. It's fine. But I don't think everyone's going to die by any means. I agree. That would be tragic. But I do think someone very close to Diem, like her mother, is going to die. Not Luther. I don't think Luther's going to die. He is safe. Right, Pen?
While I absolutely agree. But I do think about literally what happened in Umbros, where Diem did not know that there was about to be an attack, but she did break her promise to Yselle about staying so that she could get Luther to Lumnos and heal him so that he wouldn't die. And later on, when she found out about the attack, and it's like, oh my gosh, I needed to stay. And even Diem really does not have an answer for herself when she asks, would I have stayed to save all of these people and Luther die? Or would I have still done what I did? And she literally cannot answer that. And that is what this is talking about right there. That is the exact situation. So I could see her being in that situation with Luther. I do not think that he will actually end up dying, but she might fail or pass that test. I have no idea. But yeah.
I don't know, but it's going to be, I think that's going to be a theme we're going to revisit time and time again in Burn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then we have our Montios prophecy. Oh, I love that. This might be one of my favorite prophecies in the book.
Yes.
The previous Montios king left Diem a note in which contained a message from Blessed Mother Montios herself. The message from Montios reads as follows, quote, 11 must fall for one to rise. Share the gift to pay the cost. A dying star will rekindle the spark. What is forgotten is not lost. Remember my sister's words. Beware my brother's wrath. Good luck, daughter of the forgotten. May you strive to seek virtue in all things. Oh my God, let's go through this line by line. Okay, number one, and probably the one that is a big head scratcher for you and I, is 11 must fall for one to rise. If this prophecy read 10 must fall, this would seem very easy. 9 crowns plus Ophiuchi, aka Omnos, that's 10. Who the fuck is this 11th person? I can't help but assume it's the Everflame religion as a whole. And then I'm pretty dead set on the one to rise is going to be one Amarian to rise, no longer divided by 10 descended realms and immortal religion.
That's what I gather too. We've also wondered if Diem is the 11th, going back to that idea of her being the sacrifice. But I am really hung up on this crack theory that the Mo from Montios' diary that got cut off when we were reading that was an 11th in the Kindred. This is directly from Montios' diary. Quote, what happened in our homeland did not scare him as it should have. She's talking about Omnos. Instead, he speaks of it with reverence. Even our Mo, and then it cuts off. That's important. The Kindred were siblings, which infers they must have had parents. Like whenever we hear that sibling language, I'm a parent. I think about the parents. Like a mother, that would fit perfectly with the Mo, mother, and it not revealing that there is also a Kindred's mother involved. And all of them must fall for Diem to rise. And that breaks the curse. Now, I don't think that there is a grandmama Kindred anywhere right now. But what if she already did fall? Because we already know that things are kind of in progress right now. So I really do think that our Mo is our mother. Now, whether she was here too, or I don't know exactly how that would fit in. But yeah.
Okay, so what if when she takes the Rosebane, Diem also talks to Grandmama Kindred and they have a conversation, but Grandmama Kindred is long since dead from the homeworld, which we know the Kindred's homeworld was in war and destruction thousands and thousands of years ago. So what if the mother in the homeworld fell?
What if she's the one who like ensured that they got to this other world?
Yeah. Like what if she sacrificed herself in order to make sure her 10 children got to a new world?
And then they would have to be talking about like our mother, when
even our mother with sacrificed.
Reverence. Yeah, something along those lines. Okay.
I could literally see the end of the sentence being, so going back to when this is stated with Montios' diary, quote, what happened in our homeland did not scare him as it should have. Instead, he speaks of it with reverence. Even our Mo, what if it was even our mother sacrificed herself to make sure we got off the planet, and it did not scare him. Something like that, where it's like our mother sacrificed herself and it still didn't scare him. Or even our mother died in our very arms or whatever it is. Like I don't see it being anything else but mother. I don't.
That's like, yes, I was so hung up on that during our deep dive coverage and I'm still very hung up on it. Yes. Okay. So we have the 9 known Kindred, or in this case, crowns of their. So going back to that 11 must fall for one to rise. We do have 9 known Kindred, or in this case, crowns of their realm. So 9 crowns. This is already starting to play out with the crowns falling and the crowns being given to one person. Then there is Omnos, the forgotten 10th Kindred, where Ophiuchi also has to fall. And like we're saying here, kind of putting a bow on this with the 11th might be the old mortal religion, like the Everflame or that red-haired man, or Diem herself as the daughter of the forgotten, or somehow Mother Kindred where that already happened. Or I think that I agree with you that it is one Amarian to rise versus one person. However, This could also be the key to DM sacrificing herself and rising again as the one to rise when the others fall.
That's extremely true. I'm going to throw out another option is in one of Penn's teaser videos in the lead up to the announcement of Burn, it says that on sacred soil, 3 hearts are intertwined. So the 3 hearts makes me think of the Heartstone. So what if this 11th is the Heartstone from this mother world?
Oh.
Like it's like the final connection to that other world. And maybe the Heartstone is this embodiment of the Mo from Montios's diary.
Are you saying that the Heartstone is their mother? Their mother's a rock?
Yeah, it's not a boulder.
It's a rock. Wait, no,
Yes,
it's not a rock. It's a boulder.
I'm saying their mother is a rock. Yes, I am.
I've heard crazier things. Okay, well, shit. Now you have me going to the Burn teaser trailer, and this is everything that the voiceover says. Quote, balance is needed. Balance is offered. Balance is owed. In sacred soil, 3 hearts entwined must be shattered and sowed. 1 life taken, 1 life given. 1 life a burden bestowed. So I
God,
many
she knows how to
threes.
write a fucking prophecy, dude.
Right?
Oh my God.
So looking at this from really groups of 3, and
Yeah.
a lot of these prophecies do have groups of 3 with not all of them, but some of them do. So I want to, as we go into Burn, really kind of keep an eye out for groups of 3. 3 hearts entwined could be Orally, Ophiuchi, and Diem. This makes me think of a dying star being the life taken, rekindling the spark, a life given. And what if the burden bestowed is becoming lost?
Oh. Okay, so here I was thinking 1 life taken is Ophiuchi. I totally agree. The
Yep.
dying star. Yes, absolutely. 1 life given, I think that's Arlie giving her life up.
Oh.
And then 1 life, a burden bestowed. Diem rising and being the one ring to rule them all, the one of Amarian to rule the kingdom and make a new world. So I think the 1 life given is giving up. Giving
Oh,
up
see,
their
I was
life.
thinking that was a giving of a
Like
getting
regifting of a life.
Yeah.
I could see it both ways. God, I want to read this book so bad. Okay, next line in Montios's note/prophecy. Quote, share the gift to pay the cost. This fucking gift is going to be the death of us.
I don't know how it would connect to this, but sharing the gift to pay the cost, that makes me think of the above mentioned balance. Like balance is such a theme throughout this series, and that just, again, just balancing the scales, really.
Really quick note about that prophecy you just read off, actually. In Sacred Soil, one of our bets is the final battle going to be on Kirill? I'm just pointing it out that this bet says in Sacred Soil, 3 hearts entwined must be shattered and sowed. It sounds to me, that sounds a lot like final battle, Sacred Soil, which is Kirill. Just saying.
All
Back to
right.
this gift, though. We know that this share the gift to pay the cost. This is in reference to Lumnos's message back from Spark. Quote, give him our gift, daughter of the forgotten. When the end has come and the blood has been spilled, give our gift to my faithful heir and tell him this is my command. So the faithful heir, Luther, I think.
The faithful heir is coming from Lumnos herself, and Luther is certainly a faithful heir, yes.
He likes her a lot, that's for sure. I do think that this share the gift could be in reference to share the gift of power. So I'm going to go a little, no one die for a second. If this share the gift is, there is a lot of foreshadowing for Diem wanting to have a council in every realm where these realms are ruled by the people. And if we are looking at one Amarian to rise, I do think they're going to be every realm altogether ruled by a bunch of people. And it's basically, I'll just call it abolishing the monarchy. So I do wonder if this share the gift is actually share the gift of power. And Luther will be on this council.
I do love that idea. I'm going to keep spitballing here. A few more ideas include Diem herself could be the gift, or the gift is tied to the Heartstone and the foraging magic. I think that could definitely be likely.
True.
We've also speculated that it very well could be the Kindred sword that Diem has in Sophos and her visions. Penn did tell us in an interview that the sword is called Sorrow's Edge, and she said that, yes, that sword name is important. Or you know what? Maybe the gift is something we haven't even seen on the page yet. And it's one of those missing pieces of the puzzle that Penn has told us we have not been introduced to yet in regard to the Kindred's Curse. We've asked her quite a few questions around the Kindred's Curse. She's like, oh yes, there is a big thing that you don't know yet about the Kindred's Curse. So
what
I
if
can
it's
see
something
that
about their
applying
mom,
to it.
this Mo? What if it's something
Yes!
about the Mo? The Mo cursed them? What did Mom do? Mom! What did she do? Wait, like, my brain just went way too fast for my mouth. Did that make any sense?
Yes, it did.
Good. Okay, next line. A dying star will rekindle the spark. This one I feel like is fairly straightforward. I think Ophiuchi is the dying star, given his literal symbol is a 10-pointed star. And I think to rekindle the spark means to rekindle the spark of the Everflame.
I love that. Yes, the spark is absolutely to reignite the Everflame tree. That would just be so fitting with the book titles in the series too. So maybe Ophiuchi has to die, and I could even see his spilled blood nurturing back the Everflame tree.
The roots are just like, nom, 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 nom,
Yeah.
nom.
I agree, though, that the dying star feels so on point with Ophiuchi's symbol of the 10-pointed star. And if he is Kindred, he is otherworldly, like a star. When I also think about a dying star, I think of a bright light collapsing in on itself. And I keep thinking back to that word balance, too. And I think about that.
Well, and also, while we're on stars, Ophiuchi in our real people world is in reference to the 13th star sign, a dying star.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah! Oh my gosh! Yes!
That's it. That's all I got.
I think we're both in agreement that we think that it'll be Diem who will rekindle the spark for the
100%.
Everflame. This feels so pointed that the spark is directly tied to the Everflame, which brings it back full circle to the title of the first book, Spark of the Everflame. Diem is the spark, and she will ultimately ensure the Everflame burns, but in like a good resurrection kind of way.
I could absolutely see a moment in the book where it's like, first it sparks, it glows a little bit, and then it heats up, and then we get the burn. Like, it's Penn. She would make it sound far more beautiful than I just spitballed, but I could see us literally getting the titles of the book written as the Everflame starts to grow and grow.
Yes.
Something I will also throw out is Diem in the library at the end of Heat when she touched the Everflame.
Oh, I have lots to say about that. Yeah.
I'm sure you do, but like that right there solidifies that she will be the person to rekindle this spark, because literally she touches an element of the Everflame and it's like, restore the balance, and she's like, ah! So yes,
it literally in the text it says like that it comes to life, like how it's warm and sparkling and all of that. Yes.
Okay, next we have what is forgotten is not lost. Again, I can't help but think of those two forgottens. The forgotten 10th Kindred is not lost. He is very much found. And then we have the red-haired man under the Everflame tree. He is lost. He needs a map of that guy. Next line, quote, remember my sister's words, beware my brother's wrath. This honestly feels like the easiest of them all to decipher because it's Lumnos's words being considered as the sister. She's the only one of the 10th Kindred who is a female who has spoken to Diem directly other than Montios. And they all believe the brother's wrath is Umbros because of what happened. And it's a fair assumption because no one except for Sophos knows about Omnos, who we strongly believe that this beware my brother's wrath is in reference to Omnos, aka Ophiuchi. I don't know a world in which Omnos is not Ophiuchi, and Ophiuchi is not Omnos.
Yes, agree. Way back in Spark of the Everflame, Lumnos's dying King Ulthar had some interesting things to say, and Mother Lumnos herself speaks through him. First, from Ulthar, they told me your blood would shatter our stone and lay waste to our borders. This is exactly what happens when Diem's blood cracked the Heartstone, and now the borders between the realms are slowly crumbling down, as the forging magic phrase, meaning the Descended can sometimes access their magic in other realms. But this is happening sporadically, so it is impossible to tell when they will be able to use their magic. Then King Ulthar calls Diem several titles: Devourer of Crowns, Ravager of Realms, Herald of Vengeance! So, Devourer of Crowns. We believe this is Diem collecting the crowns. Like Pokemon, you gotta collect them all. Ravager of Realms. I think this is in relation to her being the cause of the realm's borders and clear-cut rules of magic breaking down, like Ulthar said, laying waste to their borders. And then, Herald of Vengeance, which basically means bringer of vengeance. This could be in relation to Diem's own vengeance, or even her being the Kickstarter for Ophiuchi to enact his own vengeance, or even the Kindred's vengeance for how the world they had such high hopes for shaped up to be. Diem is their chosen one to see out their plans of righting the world's ways.
I forgot about Ulthur's prophecies with Diem. Oh my god. Lastly, from these prophecies, we actually have visions. Real quick, we have the vision from Remus of Luther from Mother Montios. Remus long ago, like before Luther was born, he had a vision that his firstborn son would be the most powerful of all Lumnos descended and be the unquestioned heir to the crown. His visions showed Luther wearing the crown of Lumnos. If the gift, give him my faithful heir the gift, daughter of the forgotten, is a crown, I could absolutely see Luther wearing the crown with Diem at the end of the series. There's multiple times where Diem mentions, she's like wistfully looking up at Luther, because who wouldn't? And she sees an image of him wearing the crown on his head. And she's like, oh, I love you. I think that could absolutely happen, meaning Remus's vision would still come true. But we have the big kahuna vision that we have not seen yet in the Everflame series, Luther and Diem's visions. The full vision is as follows. Diem is wearing a dark suit of glittering armor that we can deduce as Godstone, courtesy of Alix's science fair project. Diem is carrying a gilded blade of black and gold, which we know is the Kindred sword, Sorrow's Edge, that Diem wielded in Sophos but gave back to the scholars. Much more on this later. Surrounding her, she has a ring of corpses extending far and wide. Rut row. Luther is standing across her on a blood-soaked battlefield with a blood-soaked sword of Corbois. This is the jeweled, hilted, garish piece of tin that he has. He is looking at her, and he lays a palm over the left side of his chest, and Diem echoes the movement. Hello, knitting mark! We'll also get into that in a moment. The form of a man is also in front of her, glowing bright as a moon. You don't think I'm getting rid of Moon Watch, but that's for a little bit later. This man is gray and colorless, and as we now know, Ophiuchi. He tells her, the daughter of the forgotten, to join him and end the descended rule, destroy this world and build it anew, like one to rise. She hesitates as she has an internal battle, but then she raises her sword. She will fight for everything she has to protect from both sides of this equation. As she lifts her sword, silver flames rise around her. We have seen this silvery magic used many times throughout the series. And then there's an explosion of endless white light, which sounds very familiar and very similar to how she reacted to her father's death, her mortal father's death, though that moment did not say silver flame. Whew! Okay, let's get into this. We can strongly assume that this is going to be the pinnacle of the final battle in Burn of the Everflame. But how is everyone around her dead? Is it courtesy of Diem or Ophiuchi or someone else?
I want to think it could just be the result of the battle in general, but it does seem like it's a blast around Diem, which
does.
Brings me back to yourselves' words about what obtaining this future will cost. I'm not willing to die on the hill that Diem did all of this, but
of a similar mind here. I think the placement of all the bodies, if we're looking just scientifically with the placement of a big kaboom from a person's magic, you know, the very scientific thing, it would have to be from Diem. But I'm also not willing to die on the hill for that quite yet.
Because that goes back to what we were saying with yourselves' words, where it's like we cannot imagine a world in which this Diem, this FMC, would sacrifice such a thing. But that's yourself's point.
That's what yourself wants.
Exactly.
Or not wants, but knows is needed, I should say.
Yeah.
We're going to pocket that for a second because there's this silver light that we need to talk about and this silver flames. We can assume that this is either Kindred magic or Ophiuchi / Omnos magic, like how Luminos has light and shadow. I think that this is Kindred magic, and I know you have a different theory working here, and I think we're going to get a bet out of this one. I absolutely think that this is Kindred magic, considering Kindred can make Godstone, and this sounds very similar to the moment where she made Godstone after her father's death, like Andre's death.
Yes. So I slowly started going down a rabbit hole as I was answering this fairly simple question about the silver flames yesterday. And next thing I know, I am rolling down the hole. I am so far down the rabbit hole. I am just in Alice in Wonderland world at this point, because I have another theory that is totally different from anything that I think we ever said during our deep dive coverage. What if the silver that DM wields is actually connected to the Everflame? She is the daughter of the Forgotten, of both the Kindred and the Everflame, after all. And the only reason I'm even connecting these two is because in the Sophos library, the mural of the Everflame tree has its flames flecked with veins of silver leaf. And I absolutely did a word search in all 3 books on the word silver. And I went through all of them, and I am cherry picking the ones that work for my theory right now. So this got me thinking to the previous times that DM has used this silver light. It either makes her target go up in ash and the smell of burnt flesh, like getting consumed by the Everflame's fire. Though I will say we get similar descriptions of burnt flesh when Luther uses Luminos light, but again, it's not the same kind of boo, like poof, you go away, wolf kind of thing. But then when she does call to her godhood when trying to eliminate the flame root within Ennis, which is supposed to be literally impossible to do with flame root, DM thinks of the, quote, strange silvery light that demands balance. And then we get this passage, and yes, I'm quoting the whole thing. A light burned frail within me, like the last smoldering ember of a long extinguished fire. I held it close, cupped within my hands, the blow of my breath keeping its stubborn glow alive. I let my magic be its vessel and carry a spark through my palms. The moment it hit Ennis's skin, he illuminated with a fleeting burst of silver light. That sounds like the Everflame to me. And flame root only grows where the Everflame used to stand. That means something, which then, okay, that got me thinking then. There are 2 occasions that DM has accidentally used the silver light, and we think that it produced Godstone. The first time in Spark, where the poofed wolf's ashes are described as black glittering stone fragments. And then when she explodes her family's home after Andre dies and creates a whole bunch of Godstone. We've always associated Godstone with the Kindred, with the known knowledge that they were the only ones who could produce Godstone. But Godstone is fatal to the Descended. So what if that's not true, and we have an unreliable narrator with history, and that Godstone is actually connected to the Everflame instead of the Kindred? And the old gods, the Everflame, the mortals' deities, created this weapon against the Kindred, or more specifically against the Descended, because that sounds like, first of all, something history would absolutely conveniently change the narrative of. And I will go ahead and poke my own hole in my theory, which is Ophiuchi survived a Godstone wound, which is why we think that he is straight up a Kindred, or this is like a Kindred magic or something like that. But what if it was very specific with like the Descended versus the Kindred, and that's just another note that he's Kindred? I don't know. We're going to breeze past that real quickly. These mentions of the silver moon too. What if that's actually in reference to the old gods and not the Kindred at all? I can see Nicole being like, what? We have associated silver with the Kindred because they all had gray eyes. And I know there are moments like with Fortos magic that conjure silver light. But when I started paying more attention to this on my reread and when we were working on this outline, I'm like, what if it is that power from the Everflame, especially with that flame root description and the silver light and that small little ember? Like, that is Everflame to me.
That feels very Everflame. I absolutely agree with you. But since you mentioned Moon, let's talk about Moonwatch. If you this, I swear this is related. If you watched our Kindred's Curse coverage, you know that I am obsessed with Moon mentions and Moonwatch. Now, Lexi, you just pulled Silver Moon. Moon and Silver are used very often together in like literally hyphenated.
Yes.
We get multiple mentions of Ophiuchi glowing like a moon. When DM absorbs power, her skin glows moon bright. At the challenging, when Diem goes all let me turn day into night, her skin illuminates, quote, radiant moonlight sheen. Diem, when she walks into her ball, is dressed looking like the full moon. That one would be more literary symbolism versus actual happenings. And multiple mentions of how it feels like the moon is watching Diem. Penn also has confirmed for us that the moon does mean something when we interviewed her last August.
What if the moon watching her, because I absolutely agree with you, but that could also be the old gods.
So here's where I'm willing to make a bet with you. Okay. I am officially ready to die on the hill that all these moon mentions are ties directly to the Kindred, not the old gods and not the Everflame. I'm not going to lie, you have a real good argument with the silver leaves from the Sophos library. But considering every time she uses her Kindred magic, she glows like the moon, I think I'm ready to die on this hill. I think these moon mentions are here for moments where the Kindred magic is either being used or like the moon mentions in the sky where it feels like the moon is watching her. I can't believe I'm putting it like this. It's like the Kindred are in their conference room watching through the peephole of the moon. And then it's like Penn is adding this moment of hey, the Kindred are watching. It does make me giggle a little bit because one of the moon moments that actually sent me on all of Moonwatch was when Luther and Diem are banging and the moon is literally called a mischievous silver moon watching over them. The Kindred are on their conference call just being finally they're fucking. But all of this to say, I think that the silver moon, this moon language, this moon symbolism is literally when the Kindred are either watching over Diem or watching over the hippity happenings. Because remember, they're not dead necessarily. Or when Diem and / Orpheakai are using Kindred only magic, not descendant magic.
Okay. You make great points. I will also say that in that exact example you just shared with when they're banging, her vision is filled with stars and flames and the moon. That is one of the reasons why I think that it's associated with the old gods.
Funny that you say stars and flames. Stars and flames. If Ophiuchi is the forgotten star sign, what do you want to bet? That the rest of the fucking pantheon or whatever of the star signs are going to be the original names of Montios, Lumnos, all of them. Which one's the Capricorn and the Sagittarius? I want to know. But
flames!
But stars! Well, here's the deal. Bet. 100% bet. Oh, we're definitely doing this.
Will you make a bet too with me about the silver light and it being from the Everflame actually?
No,
I am so obsessed
this.
with that.
That is this.
No, that is not the same thing.
What are you talking about? Silver and moon are used interchangeably.
Hold on.
Multiple times.
Diem using her silver light is not exactly the same thing as your moon watch.
Okay, so I'm going to say moons. We're going to make bet number 1. Moons are directly tied to the Kindred.
And I say that it's directly tied to the old gods.
Okay, so what's this other one you want to make around silver?
I think that her silver light is actually something from the Everflame.
I think that her silver flames are the Everflame. So that we do agree on.
And that is what... so that brings me back to the Godstone and whether it's actually from the Kindred. Ooh, am I willing to make that bet though?
I still think that the Godstone is from the Kindred themselves. I think that's balance. If we're going to be living across this earth, we're also able to produce something that will directly kill us.
But when she uses her silver light magic, she creates Godstone. That is also the same silver light magic.
It's literally her being a Kindred and being able to create Godstone. But I do agree that the silver flames are... Okay, hold on. What if the silver flames are literally silver from the Kindred, flames from the Everflame, birthed into a new power?
There you go.
There we go. So no bet?
I am so hung up on the flame root and it being the Everflame. We're going to keep talking about it.
I have a revision, a potential revision. The silver flames are from the Everflame, a mix of Everflame and Kindred. Basically, her being the daughters of both Forgottens. Whereas you're saying it's Everflame magic. But I will say when she touches the Everflame in the library, it says restore the balance, daughter of the Forgotten. And then it glows silver.
And her godhood talks to her. So I think that the godhood, there's a little bit of Everflame in there too.
Okay, we'll put a pin in this.
Okay,
we'll come back to it. We'll come in. Okay. But we do have moons are directly tied to the Kindred old gods.
Okay.
I'm very excited about this.
So throughout our Kindred's Curse deep dive and our multiple rereads of the series, we have a lot of theories and predictions about big unanswered questions or even little Easter eggs that we are white knuckling and sending us down rabbit holes. So let's examine what we've got. First up, a really big question that the fandom is wondering. Who killed Andre? Remember that he was murdered in the Bellator home a day after Diem's Ascension Ball and later in the day after her first house meeting where he attended as her newly appointed military advisor. Let's put our FBI detective hats on and revisit the murder scene. With that in mind, trigger warning for some gory descriptions over this next minute.
On the front lawn outside of the family home, there are 3 dead descended wearing Royal Guard uniforms. Luther told Diem back in Glow, chapter 29, that he had his most loyal guards on Andre, Teller, and even Moira, the healer who's basically like an aunt to Diem. Whoever murdered Andre was skilled enough to cut through these very hand-selected bodyguards. Inside the home, blood is everywhere. And then written in blood in large, angry letters, read the words, mortal lover, half-breed, rebel, scum. Then we have Andre's body. His bruised face is open in a scream of disbelief. His lips and eyebrows are slit open, and there's tissue under his nails suggesting that he fought back. This is important to note because what do we know about descended skin? It cannot be clawed at in this way. Then a slit along Andre's throat, likely the wound that killed him, but his body is littered with countless punctured wounds, mostly bloodless, telling us that the murderer continued to stab Andre long after he was dead, because fucking monster. This was no quick assassination. This is a message to Diem, a punishment for the new queen. But the murder weapon was still lodged in Andre's chest, a handle sticking straight up. The blade itself is Fortosian steel with a jewel-encrusted handle. On the blackwood hilt, inlaid with copper scroll work, sat several pink gemstones, a color we associate with Sophos.
According to Penn herself, the killer is apparently obvious, and the answer is in Book 2, Glow of the Everflame. Joke's on all of us, huh? There are many people who would have wanted Andre dead and to punish Diem, so in no particular order, let's go through the suspects. Suspect number 1, House Bennett. Evflame Bennett, the leader of this house, openly opposed Andre's appointment as Diem's military advisor and believed his presence in the room was an insult. House Bennett is the only house besides Corbois that met Andre, and the timing is very suspicious since Andre was killed later that day after this unsuccessful meeting. Evflame Bennett is also the only one who said the words rebel scum in this book, which is one of the insults written on the wall at the crime scene. Evflame is personally angry at the rebels for their attack on his armory. Pair that with his anger at Andre for not agreeing with his retaliation tactic of enlisting all mortals in the army. House Bennett stands to profit most from a war also in general. He does supply most of the weapons in Lumnos and beyond, after all. And we know Diem's now on Evflame's shit list because she is sympathetic to the mortals. But the biggest piece of evidence that the Bennetts are behind Andre's murder is toward the end of Heat of the Everflame. The Sophos crown Doriel has a blade that, aside from the hilt being ivory instead of wood, it is exactly the same as the murder weapon that Nicole was sharing a little while ago. And what's more, Doriel received this blade from Lumnos as a coronation gift, meaning it was made by House Bennett. The Sophos representatives at Diem's Ascension Ball were also guests of House Bennett at the time of Andre's murder, though I will say I don't think that they are directly involved, but it is one more Sophos connection to Bennett. Suspect number 2, House Hanover. Between Marthe and the other Hanovers, Diem has given this house about a million reasons to hate her. Diem basically kicked Marthe to the curb, stole Luther from Ileana, and is a half-mortal. All things that really piss off this powerful house. Ileana has said 2 of the 3 phrases written on the wall, mortal lover and half-breed. And remember that Evflame Bennett said rebel scum, so could they all be working together? It's certainly possible. When his meeting went sideways, Evflame may have gone to Marthe and conspired together, or told her what was happening, and House Hanover was like, yeah, we gotta fix this. We already know that Evflame and Marthe did speak, because Marthe tells the Corbois that she spoke with Evflame after his meeting with Diem and was not happy. The Hanovers could have been the masterminds behind the murder, since they technically do have an alibi for when Andre was murdered. But really, we're not going to put a whole lot of stock into that. They might have had a Bennett do the dirty work, hence the dagger definitely made by them. Not entirely sure. Next up, we have suspect number 3, House Courbois, or more specifically, Remus, and even more specifically, Gareth. They are the late King Ulther's brothers, and they are vying for control of the crown, and they want to weaken Diem. They don't like mortals and believe Diem is in their way of securing power. Gareth, in particular, is very prejudiced against the mortals. He was openly disgusted with Andre's advisor appointment, and he taunts Diem for her father's death. He is also known to call Diem a half-breed, like even to her face, which was one of the insults written on the wall at the crime scene. We know what Remus and Gareth are capable of after hearing the story about wiping out the house that poisoned Ulther's mate, and what they've done to members of their own family. These two are feeling threatened by Diem. She's too much of a wild card with her temper, assertiveness, and love for mortals. So this very well could be their way of knocking her down a peg, making her a hollow of herself so they gain the upper hand again, all while removing the mortal advisor from their council. And Remus's bargain with Diem is specific about the challenging. Having her father killed would not break their bonded bargain. In fact, we do know that Gareth was part of the plot with the Hanovers to have every house except Courbois challenge Diem. So we know that he's actively working against her already. And at the same time, they kind of want her on the throne, especially Remus, sort of. It's very, or at least back in Glow they did. If her spirits were broken and she loses the challenging, then Luther gets the throne, and that's not necessarily a good thing for them. However, if Diem is so broken that she has to restart the 30-day cycle of the period of the challenging, then Gareth and Remus would be in more control over the realm even longer. With House Courbois as a suspect, I really am leaning more toward Gareth only being involved, not Remus or Aemon, and Gareth would have probably even worked with the Hanovers like he does with the challenging, and even the Bennets too. It might have been like a group project to punish Diem by getting her mortal father killed. Suspect number 4, and our prime suspect, the Guardians. Wait, what? Yes! And they could have staged it to seem like it's from the Descended to manipulate Diem into remembering who the real enemy is.
This just makes too much sense. They stole the weapons from the Bennett armory a few weeks before the incident, which was at the end of Spark, which absolutely could include a shipment that was meant to go to Sophos explaining the weapon similarity, not even similarity, explaining the weapon. The Guardians were pissed after Diem turned them away from her Ascension Ball when it was their chance to attack. So they would want to send a message back saying, "You're not as untouchable as you think you are." Vance is 100,000 the type of person who would have gone to kill Andre. Andre worked for the Amarian army and was seen as a descended puppet to these extreme Guardians.
And Andre was supposed to leave soon for the Amarian army to fight literally against the Guardians. And Henry and the Guardians had a lot of not good feelings about that. Going back to the evidence from the scene of the murder, because we didn't really mention that with the Descended suspects. The Descended prefer to use their magic. This was a very bloody murder scene, and unlike their typical fighting style, mortals have proved to be far more capable, especially with the right weapons, than Descended have given them credit for. These skilled, loyal guards could have not seen it coming because they are used to different fighting styles than these mortals. I'll also add that they could have seen some mortals walking up and kind of been off their guard because it was not the enemy that they were expecting. The look of disbelief on Andre's face could have been disbelief that it's familiar mortals attacking him. And the biggest piece of evidence of all that I think is the clue Penn said is obvious is the tissue under Andre's nails. That should not be possible. Like, just straight up not possible if it's a Descended. Period. Like, end of sentence. Fortosian steel and Godstone are supposed to be the only things that can penetrate Descended skin, not a mortal man's fingernails. I mean, Andre, I'm sure you did well with your manicures, but come on. Meaning, I don't think it's possible for the murderer to have been Descended. No. And therefore, it was orchestrated by the Guardians and pretending it was the Descended to get Diem fully back on their side and motivated to kill the Descended. It fits too perfectly.
I'll also throw out that What a red herring from Penn Cole to choose to have House Bennett and House Hanover say those exact sayings. We also have a moment where Diem is thinking about the most prime suspects, and it is House Hanover and the Bennetts. That, to me, I won't say takes them off the board, but it massively puts them down the board. If I know anything from reading this genre, it is when the author is saying, look over here, you need to be looking over there. And that's exactly what I think is happening right now. Penn, and I think I mentioned this with Rebecca Yarros' writing style too, they're really good at saying, hey, you need to be focusing on this. And then they add in layers of subtext underneath that are actually clues to another thing. That is what I absolutely think is happening here. And the tissue under the nails. I mean, you can't, that is period, end of sentence. The motivation is there. The murder weapon, how they got it, is there. The scene of the crime all points to it being them. Yeah. But my question is.
Wait, real quickly, I'll also add too that at Andre's funeral, Henry and Vance arrive. Now, we're both about to talk about whether Henry did know about this. I think we're both in agreement that he did not.
He didn't,
but
yeah.
Vance was taking advantage of Diem. Yeah. And that is where
100%.
Diem shared some very secretive information with them because she was very sad and blah, blah, blah. And I could see Vance so easily manipulating her with all that. I would have to go back through and read it for like all of the subtext clues, but yeah.
As someone who's read it very recently, it's there. It's all there because literally it's Vance nudging Henry. Vance is, unfortunately, a lot smarter than we all think he is. And he is really good at emotional manipulation.
Yes.
We see this time and time again with Henry. Again, you and I do not think Henry knew about Vance's or the Guardians' involvement in Andre's murder. He could have been using Henry as a pawn to, like you're saying, get more information from Diem by playing that Guardian card, by playing that Guardian card again and again. So I personally think that when Henry does learn, because I do think that Henry is going to learn that Vance killed Andre at some point, he will tell Diem, he meaning Henry, will tell Diem, officially come over to Arlie's Guardian side rather than the Vance side of the Guardians. And Diem and him will finally work together to kill Vance. I will say, given what Diem said that she would do to her father's murderer, I don't think it's out of the question that Diem could kill Vance. Which does bring us to a bet that we already have, is that if Vance is Andre's murderer, he's got to die no matter what. But if he's Andre's murderer, he's got to die. I personally think that Henry is going to kill Vance. Lexi, you said that Ophiuchi is going to kill Vance, yes?
Yes, I think I was talking about it in our episode yesterday about kind of how I think that there will be some tensions between Vance and Ophiuchi, with Vance being the leader of the Guardians, and he's trying to have a power struggle with Ophiuchi, and he's just like, shoot, go, just sit down, you mortal, okay, go away, kind of thing. And I could see Ophiuchi really just getting annoyed with Vance to the point where he lets him die. So I think that Ophiuchi will indirectly be the cause of Vance's death. But the more and more I think about this, though, I mean, I know that we made that bet like a year ago now. I'm now thinking that Orly might be the one to kill Vance. If it is that he killed Andre, I think that it'll be Orly who gets that pleasure.
So here's what I'm willing to do for this bet. Who kills Vance? Nicole, Henry, or Diem, Lexi, Ophiuchi, or Orly?
I will accept that.
Awesome. All right. I like it. All right.
So we're in agreement that we think that it was Vance who killed Andre. I don't think that Vance was alone in it, but I don't think Breck, for instance, would have been involved either.
Well, Vance has Dumb and Dumber on his side. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but he has his right-hand men who are frequently mentioned whenever Vance is brought up onto the page ever since Spark. So I think that they would have been at least 2 of the probably 7 or 8 that they had going to Andre's home. Yeah.
And he really genuinely, and Breck too, I think, taking him off the table because he genuinely seemed surprised when Diem mentioned that her father was dead. Yeah. And I just really hope that I'm not going to regret saying this because I like to think that Breck is a decent guy.
I think so too, but I am worried.
Oh. So kind of going along those worried lines there, Diem still owes Breck a favor back from Spark. What if the favor is don't kill Vance? Then Luther would just do it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's one that we don't have on this list, and I think that's okay. But also, I don't think it's as sweet victory if Luther kills Vance. Don't get me wrong. I love my boy Luther. He would have a darn tootin' good time. I don't think it's as justice if he
Yes.
kills fans. Next, who the fuck is this strange red-haired man who was always painted next to the Everflame? We can strongly assume that from Luther's comment about how, quote, with hair like that, he could be related to your mother, this man is related to Orly in somehow, some way. We're thinking an ancestor, making her, Orly, and Diem a descendant of the original guardian of the Everflame, assuming that was his role. In every depiction, this man is tipped away, like his head is in the shadows or turned away. And we've speculated that it's because he looks like Orly or Teller. And when we finally do see his face, Diem will be like, wait a second. But that does not answer the question of who is he? So we threw out several options during our coverage. I think number one is he's the tender, the literal guardian of the Everflame. He could have lit the Everflame. He could be the judger of the Everflame who decides if souls are worthy enough to go live among the dying fire or freeze in the pits of hell. I also saw a comment on Spotify from True Jedi 13 who said, what if the red-haired man is actually the Everflame himself? So it's like he is like the embodiment of the Everflame.
So I think it's possible for it to be D, all of the above. Going back to that original guardian of the Everflame, I do think that symbolically representative of everything we just mentioned there.
I think so too. I think I'm going to go with a mix of like tending to the Everflame, judge the Everflame, guarded the Everflame. I 100% think we're going to have a conversation with him. Maybe, and I think Diem is going to say, holy shit, your face looks a lot like me. And I think she's going to realize that she's a descendant of the Everflame bloodline, thus giving her the power to rekindle the spark of the flame, if you will.
Like with her silver light?
I did not say that. Again, I do think her silver fire is a mix of Kindred and Everflame magic smushed together in one magic.
A big clue to Diem's connection with the Everflame is at the Sophos Library. Note that this is not the Everflame mural with the depiction of the red-haired man, but it is the enormous tree door that goes into that room. With thousands of glittering red and yellow gemstones that faintly glow, Luther says that the mortals who built this place claimed that it's lit with embers from the undying fire gifted by the old gods, meaning this Everflame depiction has the actual Everflame fire within it. Real quickly again, Nicole, I mean, the red-haired man could also be the old gods and like a representation of them. I have no idea how that would work with Diem being an ancestor of his, but just throwing that out there too.
That's totally an option.
And back to the scene here, after Luther shares that, Diem's godhood echoes the word balance, leading Diem to touch her hand on the bronze trunk. And at her touch, the tree sparks to life, and she hears her godhood say, "Restore the balance, daughter of the forgotten." When Luther puts his hand on the tree, nothing happens, even though he's half mortal too. And then Diem asks, if this place belonged to the old gods, why would my godhood react? Why, indeed. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. I don't think that her godhood is just from the Kindred or Omnos. I think that the Everflame, the old gods, however you want to put it, is her godhood too, which is why it's able to protect her with the silver light that is so different from anything anybody's seen.
Oh, see, I just assumed that's because she's a Kindred.
But she's not a Kindred.
I was going to say we'll get to this later, but I guess we actually won't, so we'll get to this now. I don't think it's out of the question that she is Kindred because, remember, Ophiuchi, if he is Omnos, never bound himself to a mortal body, meaning he never made himself, I'll call it, of this world. So I think that if him and Orly bang, bang, bangity banged, popped out a kid, she would still be Kindred or not descended. Because remember what yourself said back in Umbros, where the most powerful of the two parents is going to take over. And if Omnos is a Kindred and is not tied to a mortal body, that is the magic that is going to live on. That's why I think she's the silver light. She's able to absorb magic. Her magic is so different.
So then how can we explain that Diem was born with brown eyes and auburn hair?
That is a great question. I would love to know the answer.
I really do think that her godhood includes some Everflame as well. Like,
well, I think
of
she
the
has
old
the
gods.
power of the Everflame, but I don't think it's her god.
You are pulling
per
a
se.
Lexi right now and
I
trying
am.
to
Is
Easter cake.
Is it annoying? Is it fucking annoying? I bet it is.
Okay, I keep going back to the silver light and the Godstone and how she is also able to destroy Godstone too.
I think that's just a kindred power.
You know what? I'm okay. This is one thing that I think that we can actually make a bet on because I am so determined. I think that, what am I trying to say here? Godstone is actually from the Everflame. I guess is like the most basic.
All right. Everflame.
That is such an out there. Oh my God. No, hold
on.
on.
No, too late. You said it.
Okay.
Lexi says
no, yeah, because of the flame root and it's all connected there. And even back in Fortos when she did that with the Godstone and yeah, okay. I will go out there on that theory.
Okay. Sounds good. Godstone is from the Everflame.
Okay, I got to sit with that there. Okay, sounds good.
Right.
I still think it's the silver light ultimately, but I'll simplify it for the best.
I appreciate the simplification. Thank you. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited.
We also cannot forget, because I'm saying it a million times in both today and yesterday's episode, that back in the old world times, pregnant mothers would risk their lives to travel the sea once labor began, believing a child born on the Everflame's blessed soil would be imbued with its sacred power of life. Diem was born on Kareel, and while the Everflame might not be around anymore, we absolutely believe that its blessed soil is still there. And she was imbued with its sacred power of life, which if she has to sacrifice herself at the end of burn, that'll be what protects her and she lives. Maybe. We talked endlessly in our deep dive coverage about the theme of balance and how important that will be for the conclusion of our story. Diem is the ultimate balance of both worlds, and somehow it's up to her to restore the world's balance, which we believe is about mortals and ascended actually living as equals. And that goes right back to her godhood within her having some of that Everflame magic and the Kindred magic. I think also going back to our whole conversation that we had yesterday about bloodlines, that this could be one example of Everflame magic almost like going up against the Kindred magic too.
True. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's what the Silver Flames could be. Absolutely.
And how she, versus letting them kind of like fight it out, she creates a balance between the two of them.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank
God,
you.
I'm so excited. You're welcome. Next prediction is something I have to remind myself is not already canon. Luther and Diem are already mated by the end of Heat of the Everflame. We are both convinced.
Absolutely convinced.
It's not even convinced. I don't even know what a word is bigger than convinced. That Luther completed his half of the mate bond back in Sophos when he cuts himself accidentally with his knife while slicing an apple. After Luther and Diem bang, bang, bangity bang in the library, they're both eating apples, and Diem starts to talk about the future, about their apple orchard on their land that they acquire near her family's cottage, and the house being something they can grow into with their family. And Luther goes still and silent for a long moment. Then his knuckles go white, his hand slips on the apple, and the knife goes right over his heart, cutting him in that spot. That is blank from his scar over his heart. Diem's like, Luther, what the fuck, my guy? Quote, he stared at me, lips parted, face bloodless. His eyes were aglow, but not with his usual luminous light. Something warmer.
Yep. And he will also be able to call Sarai, and he'll also think something along the lines of like, oh, I didn't think that would work. And
he was like, it worked. And she's
yes,
like, what
exactly.
worked?
Only Diem should be able to command Sarai with anything. And he seems surprised, again, that he's able to do it. But if his half of the mating bond is complete, that could easily explain how he's able to command Sarai.
Absolutely. So, definitely, possibly, got his mating mark. What about Diem? Many, including us, believe that when she was stabbed by Igneos at the very end of Heat, that solidified the both ways mating bond. Right before getting stabbed, Diem is thinking about how, because Luther is alive, they're going to have a future between them. And as part of that future, the first time she sees him again, she's going to offer up her blood. She's going to tell him that she's ready to be his mate. And then she's stabbed through the heart. Looking at mating rituals, this absolutely counts as a declaration of her love to him. But the big clue here is the placement being identical to Luther's, straight through the center of her heart. But more so in the writing around her experience of getting stabbed. It feels warm, same language as what's on Luther's face when he cuts himself. And it feels like her heart is being cut in half, which lines up with the two halves of one whole language from Eleanor and Taryn in Glow when we learn about mating bonds. And quote, there was an unexpected pleasure in it too. Girl, a particular rightness, a feeling like I'd gained something I desperately wanted. It would be so sweet if their mating mart is over their hearts because they call each other my heart. I am going to be on such high alert in our first few episodes until this is confirmed, basically. Specifically in our first episodes, if anything is even slightly mentioned around warm, around hearts, and around anything else.
Obviously, friends, this entire burn prep is assuming that Diem is still alive. It's very canon for us, to be honest. If Ophiuchi can survive a stab wound through the heart with Godstone on Kirill, so can Diem. Yes, I know this puts a damper on my Godstone is actually from the Everflame theory, but maybe it's only, has to be descended, and it's another proof point that Ophiuchi is Omnos because the Kindred truly are immortal and cannot be killed. And that's also why Diem
would take my mating love theory and be like, but what about the lore with the religions and the stone? They're in love.
I love how we did literally months of coverage, and it was yesterday, the day before we did these recordings, that I came up with this whole new theory.
Sometimes, we gotta step away for a minute. Oh my God. Okay, now this does bring in an idea, is there going to be another mating bond in this story? Because I could 100% see it being with Taryn and Zelaric. But we also do have this concept of stranded mates, where the two lovers perform the mating bond, but only one completes it, meaning one person commits themselves and their unconditional love, and the other doesn't have it. And it's horrible. And while I do not wish this on Taryn, I could see it coming into play. I do have a happier idea, though. What if the reason we learned about stranded mates and the whole point of it being a plot point is because Taryn is going to be nervous before his wedding, possibly with Zelaric, that he's going to become a stranded mate. And then both him and Zal at the mating ceremony complete the mating bond, and then boom, happy ending.
I agree about stranded. Yes, to all of that. I'm really worried for both Taryn and Zelaric making it out of this book alive. I'm here being like, maybe they both die, and then they
Do you think we're going to have a Tonks and Remus moment where they're going to like lay down and their hands are still trying to reach for each other and die?
Maybe. I don't think that's how they died.
No, but that's how they... That's how it's depicted in the movie. I'm sorry. I know we're book purists here. I'm sorry.
Maybe Taryn and Zelaric will both, maybe they'll both pass away and then they'll get to be together. I don't even want to finish that sentence. Yeah. I do think that there's going to be something big around stranded mates just from how much of an Easter egg and foreshadowing that really did feel like when we heard about it back in Spark. What if it's Zelaric who is the stranded mate?
Would be quite the twist, given that Taryn is the hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
I don't want any of this.
I don't want any of this. Let's change the subject. Let's talk about a wedding, because we know we're going to get one in this book, but it's not who we think it's between. AKA, we hear that and it's like, okay, well, it's not Luther and Diem getting married. Cry in a hole. Okay, but we do both assume it's going to be Zal and Taryn, which the only other viable option I could imagine is Henry and Lana. Please, I don't need to watch them get married. I don't need to do that. Maybe Teller and Lily, but they're 16. They're babies.
So in the Burn teaser that Penn mailed us, it was a mating ceremony invitation. So I do think that we might be able to replace the word wedding with mating ceremony, which is very different meaning here. And that would take Henry and Lana off the list. I don't need to see them get married either. But I do want to remind you of the condition that the mating ceremony invitation was that we received. There was blood all over it. I don't think it was actually real. Not actually real blood, but you know what I mean. There was blood all over it, which makes me very concerned that this mating ceremony will not go well. And in the marketing for Burn, we are told that there is a mating ceremony, a funeral, and a coronation. I think that there is plenty of possibilities for the funeral. There's too many characters that might die. But what if it's a mating ceremony that turns into the reason for the funeral? And
God.
Could it be like maybe Diem? Okay, switching subjects a little bit. Could it be Diem getting coronated as the queen of all the realms, like the queen of Amarian? Maybe it's Luther getting coronated.
I was going to say, what if it's Luther because it's give him our gift, daughter of the forgotten. So I think that's the coronation is Luther, getting him nice and coronated. I think the funeral is Arlie. And I think the mating ceremony is Taryn and Zelaric.
You really don't think Taryn or Zelaric are going to die, do you?
I can't, Lexi. I need to read this book. I need to read it for my job.
I am really worried for Taryn. I think he's going to be gone. And I think there's going to be a goat at the end named after him.
I think there's going to be a goat at the end named after him regardless of if he's alive or dead. He's not dying.
Okay,
Lexi. He's alive. It's fine. You monster.
You know what really has us scratching our heads? How the F DM is going to get off the island of Kuriel.
I've given up trying to figure this out. I'll be so honest. She swims at this point. I don't know.
She can't because if she tries to step off of it, she can't. Yeah, okay.
I know.
Okay, so we did start to speculate this yesterday, but let's bring it all together here. Heat ends on the cliffhanger of Diem getting stabbed in the heart, but like her sire, who survived a godstone stab in the heart, it is a very safe bet that she will survive it too, even though it's made of godstone, which is deadly to the descended. But Diem and her sire are not like the other descended. Plus, her blood is the cure to godstone. We don't know if this is true for Ophiuchi too, but it seems... I'm going to actually say that it's not likely because we would never know with him too. But I think that I made my bet.
You made your grave and you're lying
I think that the blood is. I don't think that Ophiuchi would be able to. I think that it's a special DM thing because it is connected to the Everflame.
I 100% think it's a Kindred thing. So now, something I did just think of is with getting off this whole island thing is. If Diem does take the Rosebane on the island and have a chit-chat with the conference room of Kindred, they could tell her how to get off the island. That's all I got. That's the period. That's the theory.
Yeah. Or like help. Oh, what if they help her with the Heartstone?
What if they're able to rewrite the foraging magic because it's 9 of them? And especially if they're in the Kindred temple, they all step forward. They do something with the with the Heartstone, and then boom, she's able to get off. And then she calls Sarai. Luther's like, Sarai, where are you going? Sarai then goes to get Diem, and he's like, oh my God, it must be happening. And then, boom, they're back together.
Okay, so she takes the Rosebane from Yoursel's corpse.
Yep.
And because Yourcell would have totally thought ahead. And
she's the only one in this book who does. So, yes.
We're holding out a lot of hope for you here, Yourcell. And then, the Kindred come. I love the idea of all the obelisks. And then they are able to do something there with the Heartstone, change the spell because they are the original creators of it. Yeah. And then Diem's going to come back and be like, oh, hey, Crowns, you assholes. And they're going to be like, what? And she's going to be like, ha! And I have the Kindred on my side.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to believe her because she's talking to all 9 dead Kindred.
And then she's going to go into the foraging magic and slurp their crowns from them and then take them for herself.
This is where we disagree. This is definitely where we disagree. But I definitely think that the reason she's going to get off the island is somehow to do with Rosebane and the Kindred.
I agree with that, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that she's going to get all 9 crowns from taking over the foraging magic and literally taking it from them.
We will see. We will see.
Back to Diem on the island here. Okay, so I still have more written here in the outline, so I'm just going to summarize a few other rapid-fire ideas of how she could potentially get off of the island. She could eat flame root, and it somehow help this magical bind not apply to her. It seems unlikely, but we do know that flame root is here in abundance. Could getting more crowns if a current one dies help her out? So as the majority or something like that, where maybe she just has to wait until they all die out?
You need all 9 crowns to agree in order to change the forging spell.
Okay, okay, never mind then. So could she override the other crowns with her own spell on the Heartstone? Again, going back to no, because then she doesn't have.
Could she destroy the Heartstone? Could she just poop it? Like, not really.
She could,
like,
yeah. Also,
yeah.
like, again, she is so other from them. She is indeed the daughter of the Forgotten. She could maybe break it, something along those lines. I definitely do think that there will be some kind of magic at play with the Heartstone.
Agreed.
But oh my gosh, when you said that about the 9 Kindred, that is canon now to me.
Something I'll point out is no one should be able to touch the Heartstone. It is like, it hurts if you touch it. I could see DM being able to touch it and like smash it, or touch it and kaboof it. Because like if she's able to kaboof.
You mean like use her silver light from the Everflame magic? Maybe she takes the flame root and she's able to use her Everflame magic, and then she has a special kind of magic on Kirill.
Then why wasn't she able to use any of her Everflame magic for the 10 years or whatever that she was on Flame Root?
Because she was not on the sacred soil.
Actually, that makes sense. Brava! I can't even argue with that because you pulled that out of your butt and it actually makes sense. So you know what? I'll leave it. I'll leave it as is. All right, Lexi, I was shocked that we have a bet about this.
I don't even want to talk about it. I am pretending like this bet does not exist.
Is Ophiuchi Omnos? Because while we both have been operating on the fact that we believe they are the same person, our bet goes as follows. Ophiuchi is Omnos. Nicole, yes, he is the same person. Lexi, no, they are not the same person. Asterisk, but Lexi is a little bitch and doesn't actually feel that way. So, how did I get you to make this bet with me?
I was literally listening to the episode and I was like, you must have caught me in a mood because I was only like 70% sure. And then later on, I'm like, no, I won't make that bet because I'm only 85% sure. And then you're like, yeah, but like with the 70%, it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't agree with this bet. I want it on record. This is a recorded voice and video here. I do not agree with that bet that I made. And I do think that Ophiuchi is Omnos. I thought it back then too. I don't understand
this bet. So therefore, this was back when we were new at our bets, apparently, I guess, because I can't believe you did this. So do I even need to go into evidence that Omnos is Ophiuchi?
I think we talked about it a lot yesterday too.
Yeah. So period. That's the end. That's the theory there.
And Ophiuchi is his kindred name that we know all of the kindred did have their own names from their home world. So we think that Ophiuchi is his kindred home name. Again, thinking back to the constellations, it just makes so much sense.
Yep.
And the whole not being able to die by the Godstone, that's because he's kindred and he can't die.
Yes, exactly.
But that doesn't mean that his blood can save people from
Lexi,
Godstone.
just because you made the Ophiuchi is not Omnos theory does not mean you need to triple down on another theory that you're probably wrong about.
You were so excited that we're out of the Moonfall series.
I really am. Let's put some context around this. I fucking love that series.
Oh, yes,
I just lost a stupid amount of bets for Ballad, and I
just had
ready
this
to win
kinship
again.
with the book series.
You really do, and apparently I have that with Burn. I feel it.
We don't know that yet.
Feel it in my
We have not read this book yet.
we haven't, but I feel it. I feel it.
Okay, so rapid fire here. What do we think will happen with the Forgotten Lands, aka Omnos' realm? Because I think that DM will fix this land, and maybe I could even see it becoming a mortal-only area at the end of the book. And maybe that's me being too hopeful, but yeah.
I do think it's going to be fixed. I do think it's going to be used via Arboros magic. Like a bunch of Arboros descended are going to go in and like regrow it after the one Amarian to rise comes up. Because like I'm assuming that
DM alone could do that. She's the only one who would be able to.
Why? What about all the other Arboros descended?
Because of the forging magic and how other descended when they're there.
One Amarian to rise.
Oh,
that means
like
forging
after
magic is
gone.
donezo. So
you know what? I wonder if the final battle is going to be there in the Forgotten Lands.
I could see that. That would be pretty badass. But do you want me to pull the thing from Penn's website where it says on sacred soil? 3 hearts entwined? Nope. No. During our coverage of Kindred's Curse Saga, we had this constant volleyball match of is Aemon good or bad? And I think we're of the same mind where we ended up. He is someone who, after years of abuse from Gareth, we believe will break away from his evil father constantly pouring evils into him. He wants to be good, but he literally has no idea how to do so because he's been wired to be the opposite. Now, we do have a bet going with Aemon. Do we believe that he will kill Gareth? You said no, and I said yes. Shocking. Actually, this is the first time you said no and I said yes in this entire thing. No, yes, it is. Wow. No,
Who are we?
Omnos. Never mind. Ophia Kai Omnos is also another.
No, that one doesn't count. That has an asterisk next to it.
That, I hope you're ready for me to cash in a bet with that one, because I'm gonna.
What if we eliminate that bet and you can actually read Burn? What if that's the bet?
You already agreed.
I hate you sometimes.
You already agreed to eliminating it via another bet. But nice try. So, okay, the reason I could see Aemon killing Gareth is because I could see this, like, Gareth lash out where he goes to harm Aemon or Taryn. Aemon acts out of pure adrenaline, killing his father and finally choosing a side. And that side is going to be the future that Diem is fighting for. So I don't think it's going to be like this, like, manipulative, like, mwahaha, I'm going to kill my father. I think it's going to be in a momentary decision of, holy shit, I just chose a side. I do see him and Taryn making up as best as two brothers who have hated each other for however many years and been estranged can. And that is if Taryn survives the series, which you really have me worried about now.
I agree that Aemon will have a redemption arc in Burn. And I also don't think it'll be linear because that's not Penn's style. I still don't think that he will kill his father, though I could see what you just laid out there. In fact, I could see Aemon not surviving Burn, now that I think of it. He's not particularly powerful. He's in a good politician position, yes, and he is charming with the right people. So as I say that, like, maybe I'm underestimating him. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm curious to see what Aemon will contribute to Burn, whether he is a good guy or not.
I see him being on the council at the very end, where he's like one of the descended on the council. Because he has been on both sides. I could see that.
I like that idea too. Looking at two different spectrums, I could see Aemon helping bolster Eleanor's mission to get the younger descendant of the 20 houses as allies to Diem. And that would, after his whole, some of that redemption arc, but that would be towards the end of it where it is like hey, good job, Aemon, you are redeeming yourself. Or, and this is where really the fun of Aemon comes in, I could see him being a twat and cause a wedge in that allyship. And he and Ileana are good friends after all. So he could be working against Diem and Eleanor's goal with getting the younger generation to rally around them.
We do know that after the challenging, him and Ileana's friendship is still standing, because when Diem is in a meeting with the Hanavers and the Corbois, when she's in Lumnos for the brief time that she is in Heat, they have this moment of, well, like, you were, Ileana's like, well, you were engaged to a mortal. And Diem looks at Aemon and he's like, I'm sorry. So we know that he still talks to Ileana and tells her things. So maybe, I see him not siding with the Hanavers much longer. I don't see him being on Team Gareth for much longer.
I think that he will have some role to play with Eleanor's personal mission here with getting those younger Corbois and all the others of the other houses as well. Yeah. But I think that he will either hurt or help it.
Okay. I think he will help it. Next theory. Who will live and who will burn? Basically, who is Penn going to rip our hearts out and kill? We know that people, plural, are going to die. There is no plot armor, it seems, for anyone in this series. But who is our top, we'll call it top 3 to 5, who we think are going to die?
I think I mentioned this at the top of the episode, but I really do think maybe a bingo card would make this all hurt a little bit less.
I'm not opposed to making a bingo, a death
Gotta
bingo
find
card.
a way to make this competitive so that at least when something sad happens, we have a personal reason to
be happy. Okay, let's go with our number one suspect, and that is Arlie. Hands down. She gives big sacrifice myself energy. I do think it would be a perfect full circle moment for this mother who put herself and her mission above her family for years and years. And I could absolutely see that moment of her choosing Diem and choosing the family being that really beautiful moment. And I could also see her wanting to be with Andre. I think another surefire death is Vance, please. Especially if
But that
you kill
doesn't count
Andre.
as one of the top 3.
Okay, I won't count him. Arlie and Vance are my okay, well actually here's this question. Who do you think's going to die first, Arlie or Vance? Because I think Vance.
I agree. I'll go back to what I was thinking earlier, where I wonder if she's the one who's going to kill him after finding out that he killed Andre. What if they even kill each other and she saves Diem from his wrath or something along those lines?
I feel like Diem and Henry have way more beef on the page I should say, with Vance. Like, we have a big history with Vance and Arlie. Now, we don't know Vance's backstory. What if Vance was in love with Arlie for many... I think I had a theory around that for a while.
Yes. I think that because they have so much history, she trusted him to lead the Lumnocell, and she admitted that she shouldn't have done that. And now she is seeing just how fucked up he is. Yeah. And with Ophiuchi and all of that, yeah. And he doesn't have anything nice to say about her because, for all the reasons,
He's the worst.
Okay, so we're talking about our top 3. So as of right now, we both have 1, which is Arlie.
And we're not including Vance or Ophiuchi because we know they have to die.
Oh, boy.
I don't think Henry's going to die. I'm going to keep him in my safe bucket.
I think he's going to die. He's in my top 5.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that I think that Penn is going to get us to like Henry, and all of us feel really bad for everything we've been saying about Henry. And I think about some of the teasers that she's given us with how upset she is. I could see her killing off Henry.
See, that's where I think your Taryn theory has legs.
I don't think either of them are safe. Okay, so if there is anyone who is safe, I do think that Luther is safe, but I also want to say Teller. I'll can't say that with any amount of certainty, but I do like to think that Teller will stay alive.
I could see Lily being on the possible chopping blocks.
Oh, really?
Especially if she's taken by Ophiuchi? Yeah.
I don't think Alix is making it out.
I hate those words that just came out of your mouth.
I know, but I don't
I think the more and more I've sat with it, between Alix, Taryn, and Zellerich, I think you're right.
2 of those 3 are dying.
No, I think one of them is dying, and I could see it being
3.
Alix. If it's 2, it's going to be Taryn and Zellerich. If it's 1, it's Alix. Oh. Do you want to make a bet on is Taryn going to die? Yes or no?
I will, but I need everybody to understand I don't want this to happen.
Lexi's just sitting here with her Taryn voodoo doll, like boom, boom.
I don't want him to.
I'm joking. I know.
I'm just very worried about him.
So Taryn dies. Nicole says no. Lexi says yes. What alternate universe are we in? Oh my God.
I think too about Penn's stories that she's done where she had people submit like a number for a page number, and then she shared a line from that page. And one of them was that there are no descended of a redacted realm left. Who do you think that is? Because I think it might be Umbros because there's so few of them already.
I was leaning Umbros or Miros. Those are the only 2 options I had, though. I mean, I could see Fortos because I could see Ophiuchi wanting to go after the military stronghold, which would really suck. I mean, it would suck for any of them. But I think Umbros. Yeah. I think Umbros. Yeah. Yeah. Who else? Remus. Do you think Remus is making it out of this book alive?
No. I don't think Martha's making it out of this book alive.
Martha's dying.
I
think Remus is going to.
You think so?
I think so. I'm medium certain. I'm not willing to make a bet. We have too many.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Taryn dies. I'll be willing to make a bet on Alix dying though. And I'll say no.
I'm not going to say that both she and Taryn, but I don't think that she's making it out alive.
Then why not make a bet? One that says Taryn
because
dies,
we don't have to make bets on everything, Nicole.
You little shithead. Ophiuchi is definitely going to die, especially if he is Omnos. Let's just hop into this for a second. There is foreshadowing in Umbros when Diem asks Ircel how to kill a Kindred. Again, Ophiuchi is Omnos. I'm sorry. He is. And then Ircel says that Father Umbros was rather quiet on that idea. That's probably going to be a huge plot point of Burn. How do they kill someone who seems unkillable? Sorrow's Edge. Yes, exactly. Yes. The sword literally from their homeland is going to be how to kill a Kindred.
Yes, it is the sword from Diem's vision. It belonged to the Kindred. I'm convinced that a piece of the Heartstone is in it from the descriptions that we got of that and the Heartstone. It feels like it is Diem's in a way that she can't explain when she holds it. And I think it's because she is prophesized to have it. She is the only one who will be able to defeat Ophiuchi for it. It brings me back to our circling idea of sacrifice, a life for a life, old debt required, all of these things, share our gift to pay the cost. I think more and more that I really do think that the sword is the gift. I don't know how that works out with Faithful Heir and Luther, but we're just going to go with this. I do think that
she dies and she gives the sword to Luther.
I can see, maybe, yeah. Or like I think about the sword being directly tied to all of that because the prophecy says, you have to life for a life, old debt required, or eternal be his yoke. Eternal be his yoke is literally the warning that Ophiuchi will reign over everyone and that he will rule over Amarian and create this new world. So I think that some kind of sacrifice has to be done in order to kill him. And I think somehow the sword is connected to that. Again, thinking about how otherworldly it is with the Kindred and all of that.
Yeah. Well, while we're on Sorrow's Edge, let's talk about it. This is the sword that Diem is holding in every single one of her visions, and it's the one that she wields during the Sophos battle in Heat of the Everflame. Although by the end of the battle, she gives the sword back to the researchers. We'll talk more on how she's going to get that back in a moment. In case you're confused, your Stuart theory does have legs. I will give you that. In case you're confused as to how we got this name, that's never stated in any of the books. We were lucky that in that week's episode, the week of the battle in Sophos, we were actually staying at an Airbnb with Pen. And after banging down her metaphorical and physical door with questions and consent, she told us that Sorrow's Edge is the name of the sword, and that it's very important and aptly named. Here's what we know about Sorrow's Edge. We know that this sword is from the Kindred's homeworld. We know that it is decorated in writing from the Kindred's homeworld language. When she's wielding it, she also notes how it's talking to her in this ancient style language that's both familiar and not, and we assume that is literally the sword talking to her in the Kindred homeworld language. We know the descriptions of the sword sound very familiar to the descriptions of the Heartstone, another item also from the Kindred homeworld. And we also know that it whispers to Diem like it has its own godhood inside of it. Godhood, like the thing inside them that gives them the Kindred powers? Yeah. I was being pokey because earlier you were like, the godhood is from the Guardians of the Everflame, but no, never mind.
I think that Diem's godhood is partly from the Everflame.
Okay, so that we do sort of agree on in different words. A godhood inside of it. I am leaning towards the sword's name being Sorrow's Edge because it's connected to something that Diem will have to do that will tear her apart, like kill Ophiuchi. I think there's about 54 layers that I'm missing from that theory that make this more deep and more meaningful, and the context of which we will learn and Burn. But I'll say at the absolute surface level, it will tear her apart because she has to kill Ophiuchi with it.
And it, again, going back to what Ircel had said about dying is the easy part. Like, it's about your soul and what you have to do to others. And so it could be not literally dying, but it could be something happening with her soul and how I even think about like intention behind it, or I don't quite know it, but something along those lines. We also have to ask ourselves, which Kindred did it belong to? Was it Omnos himself? Or maybe it wasn't to anyone, and this is like all of the Kindred guiding her toward her destiny. When I think about the godhood within it, I think about not like a one person's godhood, but the collective Kindred talking to her through that somehow. It could, again, I keep going back to maybe that this is the gift that Mother Lumnos had referred to. I don't think that it would have been like Lumnos's necessarily, but I do think that the godhood within it is representative of all of the Kindred leading Diem toward what she needs to do.
Yeah, I think because originally I was like, could it be Fortos' sword? But I'm like, I think the collective all of the Kindred makes sense. I could see it being Lumnos' sword.
Well, and we also know that she seemed really sad about some things, and we speculated that she might have had a sacrifice or
Lumnos
lost
is crying.
somebody.
The bust
Yes.
in Luther's room, she's crying.
Yes.
Oh my god. What if this is Lumnos' sword? Okay. I like this.
Okay. I think it's a collective Kindred somehow.
I think it's Lumnos's. I don't know if I'm ready to make a bet on that, though.
Okay, sounds good.
Because also keep in mind, since we're doing this as a read-along deep dive, we're probably going to make bets along the way.
I know.
Yes. Madam, you chaos gremlin. Okay, another bet we already have around this theory is we wondered during the Sophos battle episode how Diem is going to get Sorrow's Edge back. I thought and still think that Diem becomes Queen of Sophos and she gets the sword herself or orders someone to get it for her.
And I think that Stuart, of his own accord, brings it to Diem.
And I think that's a great theory. Like, don't get me wrong, like, not like a fun theory. I actually think that's a great theory. Next, this might be a crack theory. It is a crack theory, but I won't let go of it. I swear. I really feel like there's something deeper to the moment where in Glow, Diem and Eleanor exchange blood during their picnic chat back in chapter 34.
First of all, totally forgot about that, and I thought for sure you were going to go off on your Eleanor is evil theory again.
No, I think I'm willing to tuck that one into bed, kiss it on the forehead, and say we had a fun time. Good night.
You were a fun theory.
That was a fun theory. But no, this is something different. When Diem and Eleanor are talking about blood ties and chosen family, Diem, in a point to make it clear that her and Eleanor are family in every sense of the word, cut along their palms and then clasp hands with the emphasis that Diem now has Corbois blood in her veins and Eleanor has Bellator blood in hers. I think that this is going to be highly important. We know that Diem's blood is very special. A million reasons, but curing Godstone wounds. So here's my theory. I think in Burn, Eleanor is going to get cut or stabbed somehow with Godstone. I could absolutely see Gareth or Remus doing this, but it won't kill her because she has Diem's blood in her veins. I am willing to make a bet on this. I am that certain.
I'm sure. Why not?
Okay.
Lexi says no. Nicole says yes.
There we go. Now we're back in reality. Okay. Next, because our characters are so spread out, it's going to be a lot of reuniting moments, assumably, in Burn. So let's go through some of the ones that we're most excited to see on the page. Arlie and Zal. Arlie helped Zalaric get out of Lumnos as a half-mortal and has been working with him ever since as the Jaguar. Or maybe not ever since, but after a long period and then started working with him as a Jaguar. Well, I don't think we're going to get this as like a big moment in the book. I could see it being a quiet moment of Arlie seeing Diem's found family for the first time and just really realizing how happy her daughter is. I think that would be really sweet. Another one I'm very weirdly excited about is Henry and Arlie. Like, this might be one of my most excited reunions.
Really?
Really, though, because Henry hasn't seen Arlie since before she, as the leader of the Guardians, went to Kareel for 8 months. But Henry has always looked up to Arlie as a motherly figure in his life. And given that we get this subtle hint that he far preferred the Guardians under her leadership, I could see him coming to her side and having a really sweet moment with Arlie, coming back to, like, common ground. I really hope it's not over her literal dead body. Another one I'm really excited for is Teller and Lily, who will be together. Damn it! But it does make me wonder, since they are the embodiment of descended and mortal relationships, do you think that one of them is going to have their lifespan extended or the other one have it shortened?
Yes.
Okay, me too. Do you also see them reuniting in the first half of the book or the second? I'm leaning towards the first half of the book because I feel like our crew needs to reunite sooner rather than later. There's a lot of shit they gotta do. Or
Yes.
I could at least see Teller and Luther going to Lumnos really early on in the book.
I agree, mostly because Penn has hinted that we will definitely be back in Lumnos, and if I'm not mistaken, be spending quite a bit of time in Lumnos as well. I don't want to misspeak there, but I feel like I remember her saying that there's too much going on there. It's headquarters for our characters. Everybody's got to meet back up again. So yes, I definitely think that it'll be in the first half. I agree that they will end up together again, and they will show what descended and mortal relationships can truly look like. But we can't forget that Teller did break up with Lily. So I could see him having to prove himself to Lily.
Yeah.
He left her in Lumnos and broke her heart, and to the point that Luther's kind of pissed off at him. And
Yeah.
she's not going to be like, okay, welcome back. Like, let's be together. And I think that'll be a good little subplot for their romance and Teller continuing to grow as a man and not this teenage boy anymore, and kind of have to prove his love for her more than a teenage romance, but as a real mature adult relationship.
I love that. He needs to grovel a little. I'm sorry.
A little bit, yeah.
We also have the reunion of Taryn and Luther, who this is the farthest, as far as we know, that they have been apart. That makes me so sad, but I also can't wait to see them back together again, especially if they do. Teller and Luther do go to Lumnos on the earlier side. As far as we know, that's where Taryn, Alix, Zelaric, Lily, all of them are. And last but not least, the one that I am most excited for, Diem and Luther. Oh my God, I can't wait for a million reasons, but one of them is bang, bang, bangity bang. And like the mating bond. So that's another big one too. But I do have a question. Do you think they're going to reunite in the first third or the second third of the book? I think we can take the third out of the book because they're, that
they're reunited or have a mating ceremony.
Reunited.
I think in the
third. The mating ceremony is technically done.
Technically, yes. But
they just
okay,
need
so
to, profess their love.
I think that, yes, they will be reunited in the first half, in the first third. Diem, I don't see her staying on the island for too long. There's just too much shit to do.
Yeah. Okay, we're of the same mind, so no bet here because, yes, I definitely agree. There's too much shit to do. I think she's going to take the Rosebane. She's going to chit-chat with the Kindred. And I should say I really hope in the first third we get off the island because there's so much that needs to happen in the story. Like I was mentioning earlier, there's a million places we need to go to set up for this final battle. It's going to be really hard with the queen who controls the Gryvern. Well, I guess Luther kind of does. But, like, it's going to be hard to do that when she's just, like, chilling, twiddling her thumbs on the shore with dead bodies, like, Perth and your cell chilling around her.
And maybe Igneos, we don't know.
Maybe Igneos. I don't know. You said that about him maybe yesterday. You said that and him possibly not being on the island and possibly have gone back with Doriel. And I did not think about that in the 2 years that I've been binging this series nonstop.
Only because I really could see Doriel leaving him.
Oh,
but I could also see them not leaving him, too.
I could see Doriel
for
being
Diem's sake.
Like
as like a nice little, I won't do this to you, Diem.
Doriel, I totally could see, like, you just stabbed yourself. Like, we're going to take what Igneos did to Diem off the table. Let's just look at Doriel's POV. I wouldn't want to hang on a boat with a guy who just stabbed another crown.
But they offer to help him after that happens because
God damn it,
he has the Godstone. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be on the boat or not.
I don't know.
I spent so long convinced that Igneos was going to be on Kuriel. Everything I have is a lie. Okay.
I think he is definitely dying sooner than later.
He's dying sooner. Oh, yeah. He has to.
Whether he's still alive at the beginning of the book or not is up for debate.
I would not be mad if he just died off page in between the months.
No, because that goes back to Luther and him potentially having a confrontation.
But that was the old version of Byrne, and we do know that Penn has reworked it. We don't know, like, she didn't, like, rewrite the entire thing, but, like, we know that she has reworked some scenes, and that could have been cut. Because that's just how the shit goes. All right, friends. We have discussed our bets as we have gone through today's episode and yesterday's episode, but it is time to go through every single one of them and discuss what the winner/loser will have to do. Starting with bet number 1, Aemon kills Gareth. I say yes. Lexi says no. Lexi, if I win, you have to do, I'm going to go with an FFG classic here. You have to do the dishes at our family's Thanksgiving celebration, which ironically will actually not even be on Thanksgiving because I'm going to be out of the country during that time. But when
let's just make it loser. Loser has to do the dishes.
Loser has to do Thanksgiving. Okay, sweet.
Yes.
Next, who kills Vance? Nicole is Henry or Diem, and Lexi is Ophiakai or Arlie. Lexi, if I win and it is either Henry or Diem who kills Vance, you have to, when we are in New York City for the Burn of the Everflame release party, you have to give Penn a letter professing, handwritten letter, by the way, professing your love to Henry and making it fully serious that she can cherish forever.
All right. Sounds good. On that same note here, if I win, you have to sprinkle Luther roasts, a minimum of 3, into a spicy scene discussion.
He can do no wrong. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yes, he can.
In a spicy scene? Have you read a spicy scene with Luther? That is... I will have to make up that his toenails are too long or something like that.
Gotta roast him for whatever he's doing there on the page.
Now, here's the deal, though. If this is at the end of the book and all spicy scenes are gone, what do I do? Oh, no. So sad.
Just like, don't worry. Are you saying that there's not going to be a spicy scene?
No. Oh, no. No, I'm definitely not saying that. But I'm saying, what if we learn who kills Vance at the very end of our coverage and we've already covered all of our spicy scenes?
Oh, okay. That's fair.
That's right, because we have a new...
Fair enough. Okay, fine. I will save that one then. So going back to the midnight release party, one of my personal favorites, you have to come up with my outfit for the midnight release party because we get to like get all dressed up for it because it's for a funeral. So and very sadly, the last time I had this and I won and I cashed it in, it was for an event that then got canceled.
Yeah. And I did a whole spreadsheet for you.
I know, it was fantastic.
Everything. Okay, I accept that. That sounds great. I already know who's wearing what color, so that's perfect. Okay, because we have to either wear red or not have to, but it's strongly encouraged that you either wear red or black as is custom with funerals in Amarian. All right. Lexi, next bet. I say DM becomes Queen of Sophos and gets the sword herself or orders someone else to get it for her. Lexi, you say Stuart of his own accord brings it to DM. Lexi, if I win, I'm going again with a nice and fun FFG classic that we just did recently for your world, and that is a world building workshop day. If I win, I get a world building workshop day.
Okay. If I win, you're writing your book too right now. Mm-hmm. You have to name someone in there called Stuart. And he has to survive. He has to live.
You know my world.
I know I do. That's why I added that caveat.
All right, next. Ophiuchi is Omnos. Nicole says, yes, they are the same person. Lexi says, no, they're not the same person.
This one doesn't count. No, no. I don't care. I'm not doing whatever it is. I'm not doing it.
That's great, because if I win, I get to do something. So I'm so glad you said that. So, Lexi, if I win, for one episode of my choosing, I get to read one chapter ahead. Mind you, I will not give any spoilers during that episode's coverage. I just get to know what happens one chapter
I don't
ahead.
think that's fair, because you refuse to do it with the burn one.
All fair. Do you really want to bring that up right now?
Yes.
What did you get to give up in order to make this okay for your loving sister who's worn multiple dragon onesies for you?
It doesn't matter.
Done a dance on the internet.
All right,
for
fine. One episode or one chapter ahead. Fine.
Thank you. All right.
I know it's canon. All right. Like I know. Like I can't believe I ever would have made that bet. But whatever. Fine. I'm not bitter about it.
Do you want to just make it the same thing? If you win, you get to read a chapter ahead?
Sure.
Watch it be the final episode. I mean, it's like, if it is, then it's null and void. Okay. Next, the Heartstone. The Heartstone, Lexi says, will continue to live on in some form or fashion. Nicole says the Heartstone will be null and voidless of magic.
All right. You have to do a day in the life Instagram stories, and in each of them you have to include a little text about how I was right and you were wrong and why you are having to do this after losing a bet.
Every single story. Okay. Next, where is the final battle? Nicole says Kareel. Lexi says the Forgotten Lands.
I just say it's not on Kareel.
You just say it's not on Kareel. All right. If it is on Kareel, Lexi, you have to be my personal butler for an entire day and come over to my house.
Really?
Yes.
All right. If I win, I get to share a little something out of your control, but I promise it'll be within reason, about your story to our fan club.
Okay, next. Henry will not fall under Vance's influence again. Nicole says no, he will fall under Vance's influence again. Lexi says yes, he will not fall under Vance's influence again. Lexi, if he does fall under Vance's influence, you have to celebrate a new holiday in September called Merry Henry Moss, where you get presents for me. You have to have a special dinner planned for the two of us.
I'm sorry, in September? You mean like our busiest month we've ever had of FFG history?
Early October. You have to celebrate Merry Henry Moss, where you get me a present with Henry-themed wrapping paper, and you make a Henry-themed meal for the two of us.
If I win, you have to sit in the middle seat for the rest of this year's travel. Whenever one of us has to be in the middle seat, it has to be you.
So I'm between you and Jake, is what you're saying for the entire time?
Well, technically, we haven't gotten his tickets yet.
Shit. That's true. Next bet. All of the crowns, minus Diem, will be dead by the end of Burn of the Everflame. Nicole says yes. Lexi says no. Lexi, if I win, you have to do a day of Rue sitting. Just a nice and easy one.
This is a nice and easy one where you have to change your Discord name to whatever the fan club votes. And have it be that for, let's see, at this point, you know what, for the rest of the year at that point. Because it'll be late August, September.
Okay.
Oh, we won't be able to tell anybody about who wins or loses.
No, many of these will have to cash in after September 8th. All right. Next, the moons are directly tied to, Nicole says, the Kindred. Lexi says, the old gods. Lexi, if it is the Kindred, you have to take a makeup class before our September live show.
Okay. Do you know,
Okay.
There's not going to be a lot of time with that, but okay. Then you have to drink an alcoholic beverage and finish it during an episode.
Just any alcoholic beverage?
No, one that I choose for you. And you have to finish it no matter how big it is.
You know what? I'll make that both ways. So I'll nix my makeup class for this one.
Okay.
And we will make that for both of us. Next, Godstone is from the Everflame. Lexi says yes. Nicole says no. Lexi, if Godstone is not anything to do with the Everflame and is entirely to do with the Kindred, like we have known for 2 books now, then you have to be in charge of Mom and Dad's present from the two of us for Christmas.
All right. You know what? Let's just make it super easy. And no, that's good. You gotta handle that too. Yes.
Okay.
Nice and easy.
Sounds good. Cool. All right, next. Taryn dies. Nicole says no.
Oh.
Lexi says yes. Lexi, you go first on this one.
I'm going to go with a classic one for this one. If I win, I will go drown my sorrows and celebrate at the same time with a date night with the husband, and you stay over with the kids. Stay the night with the kiddos.
All right. Nicole has to stay the night and babysit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If Taryn does not die and lives, Lexi, this will be the world building day. You get to sit down with me, and I guess this will actually be world building for book 3. So you get to sit down with me and world build for a whole day. Okay. Second to last is the blood exchange between Eleanor and Diem has a deeper meaning. Nicole says yes. Lexi says no. I'm going with one that I don't think I'm gonna win because this is my crack theory that I'm willing to die on. Lexi, if I somehow get this crack theory right, you have to plan a weekend getaway for just the two of us between whenever you want, but it has to be before May 11th, 2027.
Fair enough. You have to do a dramatic walk of shame video with the Kindred Curse Saga series, but make it extra dramatic.
And last but not least, an FFG classic here is the sex bet. Oh, Luther, my boy. So, Lexi, I have always let you answer first, and I'm not doing it this time. Lexi, I think there are going to be 4 or more scenes in this book. Now, remember, we qualify a sex scene as sex on the page between any characters, 2 or more, where 1 or more parties go to completion. 4. My number is 4 or more. Please, more.
I'm going with 3. I know that's usually Whitley's, but she can have 2 or under this time.
There we go. Okay, so the sex bet reads as follows. Nicole, 4 or more. Whitley, 3, which Whitley is our hairdresser, in case you're like, who the hell is Whitley? And Lexi is 2 or less. And the winner gets to pick the loser's hair color, pop color, and their shade of their standard color. So, for instance, when I just lost recently, Lexi got to pick my shade of blue, and the pop color, which was like this like blood red. It was actually really sick. I loved it. Now it's kind of fading to like a nice little pink. There are our bets for Burn. Friends, if you cannot tell, we are so excited to be back in this world. And it is extra exciting because this is our first time ever covering a final book in the series, which means we are going to be doing things a little differently. We normally deep dive a book or a series with the context of the entire work that is currently out. So to the end of the book or series. But we are going to be deep diving Burn of the Everflame in a read-along style. Meaning, like for instance, for episode 1, we are only going till chapter 14. So that means you, the reader and listener, only have to read up to chapter 14 to listen to the episode. Of course, you can keep reading and read all you want, but we will only be discussing spoilers up until that aforementioned chapter 14, not the end of the book as normal. Lexi and I will only have read up until that point. We will not know what happens for the rest of the book. So we're going to be able to theorize in all the chaos and craziness as we go along. And you, the audience, can take your time soaking up the last book of the series if you choose to do so, or you can finish the book, listen to us, and probably laugh.
Yes. All right. There we have it, friends. Our biggest predictions ahead of Burn of the Everflame by Cole.
Next Monday, August 10th, we will be heading to Prithian for everything you need to know from Crescent City for ACOTAR 6. If you are in the world of the Sarah J. Maas, you probably know that there's been some crossover in the Maasverse. This is going to include full series spoilers for A Court of Thorns and Roses. Of course, we're going to be talking about what to prepare for ACOTAR 6, but only with information from the entire Crescent City universe. So full spoilers for all 3 Crescent City books. But fear not, we will be back in Amarian starting on September 8th with 2 episodes a week for 4 weeks as we deep dive Burn of the Everflame. But remember, we are doing this different than our previous deep dives. We are doing it as that Burn read-along style. Thank you, as always, to our Sophos scholar, aka our content researcher, Brooke, and our executive producer / sanity manager / co-host of the Fantasy FanFellas podcast, Hayden.
Check out our website with tons of book resources, including a lot for the Kindred's Curse Saga, like book guides, trivia, quizzes, recommendations, and so much more.
You can also pre-order my book, Oath of the Chosen, which its sequel may or may not have a character named Stuart in it, which you'll know is safe. It is coming out on May 11th, but pre-orders are so helpful. Link is in the show notes.
We are very active on social media, so please be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and /or TikTok at Fantasy Fangirls Pod. And if you're watching this on YouTube or want to watch on YouTube, pretty please hit that subscribe button to keep following along.
While you're hitting buttons, don't forget to hit that 5-star button on whatever podcasting platform you are listening on. And don't just do it for this podcast, but for any podcast that you regularly listen to. And last, but certainly not least, you know that friend that you just text things about Henry and how much you think he's gonna just totally go to Ophiakai's side or stay with Arlie or whatever you think? This is a great episode to send to that friend so that you too can make your predictions along with us.
All right, everyone. We are so excited to start this Burn of the Everflame journey. We will see you on September 8th with episode 1. Bye-bye.
Let's go start.